wearing number 21, Jeff Thomas. The fast forward wearing number 17, Brett LaRock. And in goal wearing number 1, Cameron Hall. FC Buffalo is coached by Bob Roach and Brendan Burke. This 4th of July weekend, before we play our national anthem, FC Buffalo asks that we share a moment of silence for those who have sacrificed their lives to earn freedom for our country. A family-run business with over 150 employees. Mesquite, Buffalo's only soccer pub. Buffalo's longest soccer supporters. Western New York Immediate Care, the preferred and official health center for FC Buffalo. College. Thanks to Coach Jim and his team. And thank you to you for coming out this beautiful afternoon.
Welcome to Robert E. Rich All-High Stadium, where today we have the upstate New York Derby second leg between the FC Buffalo Blitzers and Greater Binghampton FC Thunder. Beautiful day here in Buffalo. We're just maybe about a minute away from kickoff. FC Buffalo to wear their third white jersey. Go to overtime and penalties tied meeting. A goal and Gatsishan scored for Greater Binghampton FC in that 1-1 draw just a couple weeks ago. FC Buffalo in this game, since it's not an NPSL match, doesn't have to starting or take whatever competitive setting. Greater Binghampton FC going right to left in reds, coached by Al Midlinski. FC Buffalo to kick off. Brett LaRock over the ball with Anthony Rosano, and we are set to get underway. Rosano plays back to Adam Lauco for FC Buffalo. Bobby Ross in the starting lineup after coming on as a sub against Erie. There's a good ball wide to Jeff Thomas, is poked away by Chris Riley of Greater Binghampton. And Nate Rippick gets his first touch, not particularly assuredly though, as he hits the ball out of play for, will be a long throw-in, I think, for FC Buffalo. Throwing it in will be Ross Suter, plays in the VDSL for Queenston FC. Here's his feed over Rob Randell, bouncing again in the box. Hit down, cleared away from Dave Lundell. Who's slotting. Marcello Palucci over to Connor Landusky. Now the ball's headed back towards Jeff Thomas. He gets a flick to it. Off a and out for FC Buffalo. The good result on Friday, the 4-2 win over Erie, put Buffalo in a good position, still at number 4 in the NPSL Midwest table, which is currently good enough for a playoff spot. However, they're only 1 point behind Lansing United. And a crucial home game coming up in a couple of weeks against Lansing. Ball driven across, headed out by Bogdan Yatsishin. But FC Buffalo will win a corner. They're first of the game here in the 3rd minute. We're scoreless at Robert E. Rich All-High Stadium between FC Buffalo and Greater Binghampton FC. Thank you for joining us on WNYmedia.net. And thank you for 2 sponsors, Pallet Services, Inc. Connor Willings will take the corner. He drives it in right to the PK mark. Goes by everyone, but Rob Randell has a go at goal, and that one sails over the net. Doesn't trouble Rippick on that one. Just to look down the table, Detroit City FC with 20 points, Madison 56 with 19, Lansing with 17, FC Buffalo with 16. You see, AFC Cleveland, though, is a team that FC Buffalo is going to be competing with. Really, it's going to be Lansing United, AFC Cleveland, and FC Buffalo fighting for those 3rd and 4th playoff spots right now. Rippick's goal kick is flicked on by Pierre Clavel. But Bobby Ross drives that away from danger. And it bounces out of play before Jabari Danzy can get there. Good turnout today in Northeast Buffalo, I guess. Headed to the middle by Willings. Trevor Hill hits that ball straight up in the air. Rosano gets the touch to it, but it falls back to Connor Lundusky for Greater Binghamton. Now Jabari Danzy gets a loose ball on the side, plays back to Connor Willings. Willings clips forward to Brett LaRock, who found space behind the Greater Binghamton defense, but the assistant referee has his flag raised. It's going to be an offside call on Brett LaRock. Good diagonal run behind the defense, was just a little too soon by the Bryant University attacker. LaRock wonders how far he was offsides. He looks over at the bench, and Chris Walter, with a smile on his face, shows a good couple feet. Yatsishin drives forward, headed by Brandell to Danzy's feet. Danzy stumbles, and good pressure though from LaRock to challenge number 5, Yatsishin. Another giveaway from Binghamton, and a throw in for Ross Suter on the left side. Suter throws down the line for Jeff Thomas. Jeff Thomas has a gap, mishits the ball on a service across the box, and it rolls to Rippick for Greater Binghamton. Greater Binghamton has a couple games to make up. They haven't played in quite a while in the league, and they drew Hershey and lost badly to Clarkstown. I believe they still compete in the Keystone Conference, which is what FC Buffalo used to play in. A good run from Connor McKnight is taken off his feet, though. FC Buffalo tries to counter. Brought down by Michael McGinnis, who shields off Jabari Danzy. It's a ball played down the line for Marcello Palucci. The 2 number 3s going head-to-head. Bobby Ross plays back to Cameron Hogg. Cameron Hogg going to be a sophomore at the University of Buffalo this fall. He looks likely to have the starting job after Walid Cassis, the previous FC Buffalo FC Buffalo and UB keeper, graduated. Brandell scoots back towards his own net. Gets caught in possession though. Anthony Rosano checks back well to win that loose ball. You saw him do that quite a bit against Erie on Friday. Very good noise coming from the Situation Room today, FC Buffalo's fan base, as it's almost hard for me to hear myself talk. Suter steps in for a steal, plays wide to Jeff Thomas. Jeff Thomas has some space down the wing. Cuts inside, has a go across. There's Jabari Danzy wide open. He heads wide, but he's ruled offsides. Outstanding ball from Jeff Thomas to Jabari Danzy at the back post, but again, Danzy, just like Brett LaRock a couple minutes ago, was a few steps behind the defense, and he couldn't put away his header anyhow, so that's another missed opportunity, but FC Buffalo looking dangerous, getting wide and sending the ball across. On the bench today for FC Buffalo, Brian Knapp Matt Nanu Ferguson, Josh Bishaw, Chris Walter, and Kendall McFadden. So a lot of veteran presence on the bench. Jeff Thomas heads towards Larock. Sean Streb battles for it for Binghamton. He plays the ball out of bounds for an FC Buffalo throw. And here in the 8th minute, still scoreless between the Wolves and the Thunder in the second leg of this upstate New York derby. Connor Brandell tries to pick out Jeff Thomas. Thomas continues to work for it. McGinnis gets there in time. Kept in play by Larock. Jeff Thomas lays it across, but a good challenge there and a dire opportunity for the Binghamton defense. Well defended. Danzy plays into the box, headed away by Sean Streb. Larock early to Jeff Thomas, a good ball through. Larock is stopped by Rippick though. A good 1-2 between Jeff Thomas and Brent Larock. Put Larock in on goal, but Rippick stood up to the task. Got a hand to it, knocked it out of play for a corner. FC Buffalo's second of the game.
FC Buffalo corner kick.
It'll be Connor Willings over it, an in-swinger. Plenty of bodies in the box. Driven in low towards Adam Lauko, hit out by Pierre Clavel. Adam Lauko now swings it in towards Bobby Ross, open in the net. Has a header though, it just bounces wide. Ambitious ball across. Bobby Ross, very good in the air. Won that one, couldn't put it on frame though. And Greater Binghamton dodges another chance. Interesting to see Anthony Rosano in a central role today for FC Buffalo. He usually plays on the left wing, but showing some ability to be a creator more than just a guy who can get up and down the flanks and serve balls in. Rob Brandell back to Connor Willings, now to Rosano. Rosano on the right side, tries to play it forward, knocked out of bounds by Connor Landusky. Another throw in, this one deep towards Larock. McGinnis has probably got a good 6 or 7 inches on Larock, heads that one out of bounds. Another deep throw in for the Blitzers. Bicycle kick by Jeff Thomas tries to split the defense. Suter serves the ball into the box, headed down by Strep. Now maybe Binghamton can control a little bit. Daniel Kranak plays forward. Headed down by Mike Rude. Marcello Palucci tries not. Wins the throw. FC who's an all the last time around. Very, very active. Those are very valuable skills to have as a striker. Throwing towards Larock, headed away by McGinnis. Throw in for the Thunder. Yatsishin to Landusky. Landusky with a good ball wide to Connor McKnight. McKnight's first touch lets him down. Suter gets ahead to it for FC Buffalo. Anthony Rosano kind of flails at it, doesn't get to it, but Adam Lauko's there to play back to Cameron Hogg. Cameron Hogg, part of that New Zealand connection with Fox Slotemaker, Scott Doney. Doney was out for the year with an ankle injury. See if he's okay in time for preseason in about a month or so for UB. Little shaky moment there for Landusky in his own, right on the edge of his own box. Now Connor McKnight on the wing with a step over, but well done by Ross Suter to keep that. Suter square to Brandell. Brandell heads back to his own goal, sees Trevor Hill. Trevor Hill, the former Damon player, is the holding mid. Service into the box, headed away. Bounces right back to Danzy though at the top of the 18. Now Daniel Kranak tries to break out for Greater Binghamton himself. Plays back to Palucci. Palucci surrounded by Wolves. Plays the ball to the left side, kept in play by Yatsishin. Yatsishin chooses to play short. has Cranak's lead. Lundusky forward, dummied by Connor McKnight. That ball trickles through. And back for FC Buffalo's defense to gather. Bobby Ross past the first man, has Brett Larock, who turns McGinnis. Larock in on goal, plays the ball across, deflected from Brett Larock. He was pretty unselfish on that. He would have liked to maybe see him strike a ball towards the far post rather than trying to connect with a teammate. Lauco wide now to Jeff Thomas. FC Buffalo keeping the pressure on. Thomas cuts inside to Rosano. Rosano over to Trevor Hill. Trevor Hill passes errant for Brandel. Here's Connor McKnight. Plays square for Cranak. Cranak switches to Yatsishin. Back to McGinnis for Greater Binghamton, over to Streb. Good size, but not a lot of pace between the two Binghamton center backs, McGinnis and Streb. Both solidly built, but we'll see if they can keep up with Brett Larock, especially as this pretty warm afternoon goes on. Set piece just beyond midfield for Greater Binghamton. Here in the 14th minute, still scoreless between FC Buffalo and the Greater Binghamton Thunder here in the upstate New York derby. Thank you for joining us on WNYmedia.net, and thank you to Pallet Services Inc. as they sponsor each and every one of the video streams. Bending ball is going to bounce dangerously. Cameron Hogg with a terrific save on McGinnis. Ball wasn't dealt with by the FC Buffalo defense well at all in the box, and it fell to McGinnis, who had a blatant look at goal, and he had the ball into the ground, but Cam Hogg got his big left paw up there and pushed it aside. Chris Riley, the oldest player on the field, number 10, served that ball in. It knuckled and deflected off a player, and it fell fortuitously to McGinnis. But as a center back, he seemed a little wide-eyed there, seeing an opportunity in front of goal. Regardless, Riley will swing in again. This one goes towards the back post. Headed down by 22, and a drive by number 20, Pierre Clavel, goes wide and over the bar. And the threat ends for Greater Binghamton. Bobby Ross back to Hogg, over to Adam Lauco. Lauco drives forward over Rosano. Brett Larock had already checked to that ball as well, and Greater Binghamton could possess. Spin away from pressure by Cranak, given away though by Connor Lundusky. Jeff Thomas sees the run from Jabari Danzy, plays a nice ball over top. Rippick stays on his line. Jabari Danzy has a hit. He's knocked right as he serves that ball, or right as he hits that ball, and it's out of play for a goal kick. More last-ditch defending there from Greater Binghamton FC. I believe that was not Lundusky, it was Yatsishin. Here's Rippick's goal kick. One out of the air by Rosano towards Danzy, but the foul's whistled on Rosano for a push in the back. Interesting call from the referee. 32-year-old Chris Riley, wearing number 10 for Greater Binghamton. He's got a pro background, most recently played with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, but he played with the Wilmington Hammerheads and a couple other clubs as he's winding down his soccer career. Jabari Danzy seeks out Rosano. Rosano flicks it away from Palucci, and Connor Williams will hit forward. Good pressure from the Larock on McGinnis, but it falls to Chris Riley. Riley drives the ball forward in the direction of Mike Rood. Lauco gets a piece of it, and a favorable bounce goes out of play for a Greater Binghamton throw. McKnight. Chris Riley with it now. Riley tries to find Clavel. First to it, though, is Bobby Ross. First touch from McGinnis over to Streb. Streb will play Nate Ribick now, pressured by Larock. Good pressure from Larock forces an errant clearance away by Ribic, and it'll be a throw-in for FC Buffalo. Good pressure, but no goals to show for it yet for the Blitzers here in the 18th minute. We are still scoreless. Greater Binghamton with 3 subs today, FC Buffalo with 5. Anthony Rosano serves the ball in toward LaRoque. Still with it is Rob Brandell. Brandell short to Trevor Hill. Trevor Hill over to Ross Suter. Suter down the line. There's Jeff Thomas for FC Buffalo. Step over, moves to the touchline, serves across, blocked. Oh, and that's blocked as well by one of the 2 center backs for Binghamton. Now Ross Suter has a chance. He slides inside. That's blocked by Chris Riley. Good last-ditch defending again by Greater Binghamton. Now Connor McKnight sprints away with it for the Thunder. He's tracked by Rosano, though, who comes back, wins the tackle, and earns a free kick for FC Buffalo. Laco quickly down the line. Jeff Thomas plays to Trevor Hill. Hill over to Connor Willings. Down the side of Jabari Danzy. Danzy gets stuck in a 50-50 with Yatsishin, but will keep the throw. Throw-in goes over Brandell to Larock. Headed nicely by Larock back to Brandell. Brandell loses it with a cluster of Thunder players around him. And ball played forward for Rude. Rude tries to use Clavel down the wing. His pass is behind him, and FC Buffalo wins possession again. Greater Binghamton having a hard time really connecting at all, especially moving forward. Another Nate Ribic goal kick once he tracks down the ball beyond the athletic track. Here's Ribic's goal kick. One out of the air by Rude, but the only man up top for Greater Binghamton is Kranak. Brandell to Danzy. Missed clearance there by Yatsishin. Rolls out of bounds, but Brett Larock will keep it. Larock definitely a little fireball out there today, just covering ton of ground, making good runs, darting runs into spaces, and it's been hard for the Thunder's back four to track him, even though he's alone up top. Connor Willings throw. Headed by Danzy down to the ground, but Rippick is there to scoop that ball up. The big news on Friday was Lansing United losing to the Michigan Stars. Lansing had a chance to keep pace with both Detroit City FC and Madison, but came away empty as the Stars pulled off the 1-0 upset. AFC Cleveland won comfortably over the Fort Pitt Regiment 5-0. It's going to be a tight between FC Buffalo and AFC Cleveland, and it's good because in this fairly unbalanced schedule, you'll see Lansing and AFC Cleveland both playing FC Buffalo before the year is out. So no one can really blame anyone themselves, at least in this setup this year. Advancing the ball is Greater Binghamton. Mike Rude plays square. Pierre Clavel. Clavel to Rude down the touchline. And Trevor Hill gets a nice little nudge to him, upsets the rhythm of Rude, and the ball goes off the Binghamton striker and out of play for a goal kick. Looking ahead at that FC Buffalo schedule, this coming Friday at 7 o'clock, FC Buffalo hosts Lansing United, in which will probably be the biggest game for the Blitzers to date of this year as far as playoff implications and quality of opponent even. Lansing, the defending champions in the Midwest region, they beat Fort Pitt last year in second overtime. Lansing Friday, then FC Buffalo goes 2 days later on the second half of a Friday-Sunday against Fort Pitt Regiment in Pittsburgh. And then 5 days later, the following Friday, FC Buffalo hosts AFC Cleveland in what might be a do-or-die playoff game for FC Buffalo. The Blitzers would help themselves a great if they went to Pittsburgh and beat and got 3 points there, is that they'd really only need a point from either the Lansing or the Detroit games to advance. Good ball over the top towards Jabari Danzy. Danzy tries to find a teammate. Curls away from pressure, still has it at his feet, going diagonally across, just beyond the top of the 18. Jeff Thomas can't get past Chris Riley, though. A nice tackle. He keeps it now. Connor McKnight serves the ball forward. Daniel Kranak will trace after it, but Adam Lauko is first to it for the Blitzers. Back to Cam Hogg, who sees his center back, Bobby Ross. Brandell gives it away. Mike Rude plays forward. Nice ball by Lundusky to Kranak. Kranak, a nice stutter step away from danger, but the offside flag is up on Pierre Clavel.
Fans, FC Buffalo would like to welcome members of the FC Vets program, the co-ed soccer team aimed at bringing together veterans of our armed forces. Captain Tony Lawton and his team are here today, and we thank them for their service to our country.
Long throw from Ross Suter, flicked up by Jabari Danzy. They're knocked to the one. Streff wants a free kick. They won't get it. 25th minute scoreless between FC Buffalo and Greater Binghampton here in the upstate New York derby. Throw into Danzy. Tipped out of bounds once again in another throw-in. Ross Suter throws back to Anthony Rosano. Rosano curls the ball to the back post. Larock is there. His header goes down and wide right of the goal. Good service from Rosano early in to see Brett Larock as the defenders couldn't quite converge on him. He got a free header but couldn't direct it on frame. Another
Fans, FC Buffalo would also like to invite you to join us at our official pub MSK tonight for the United States Women's National Team against Japan in the World Cup Final. Join us tonight at MSK, 1420 Earl Avenue, Buffalo's only soccer pub.
Stumbling over the ball is Rob Brandell. Now Mike Rude has a chance to go through. He plays in Kranak. Kranak with a bit of space, closed in by two Blitzer defenders. Kranak tries to go past Bobby Ross, but Ross does well to close down the angle, and Cam Hogg is there to pick it up for the Blitzers. Hogg throws out to Ross Suter. Suter with a lot of pace on the wing. Played inside for Rosano, back to Trevor Hill. Hill to Bobby Ross. Now Rosano finds space. Just shy of midfield, a nice step over move creates some room for him. Sees Brett Larock down the wing. The crown pitch lets him down as that ball was rolling quickly out of bounds, and Larock kept it in play, but only a goal kick to show for it. Anthony Rosano, good addition to the FC Buffalo team. The Albany semester goes a little bit later than most, so he joined the Blitzers a little late this year, but it's been very good on the left wing, is responsible defensively. Good service in. It's good to have a naturally left-footed player out in that area. Today he's playing centrally, and you can see that his comfort on the ball and his pace and his two-way play is making him very valuable to Brendan Murphy's team. Suter with a win in midfield. Brandel after it. Ball pushed through, but back to Cam Hogg. Hogg, a recruit of Stu Riddles, the head coach of the University at Buffalo. Won by McGinnis, but there's Brandel for FC Buffalo. Connor Lundulski. He gets around Anthony Rosano, but his pass is stolen by good anticipation from Connor Willings. A track back there by Clavel, but Willings gets past him too. Play Jabari Danzy on the right wing. Danzy can serve, plays to the back post over Larocque's head. Larocque 5'7" maybe. Then by Chris Riley, and there's a yellow card given to Marcello Palucci, clearly for dissent. Now Riley in the face of the referee, wondering why Palucci got that yellow. Temper starting to boil a little bit for Binghampton. Another yellow card given, this one to Chris Riley. So both Riley and Palucci in the book on that one. Palucci's for dissent. Riley's, I believe, for dissent as well. There'll be a free kick for FC Buffalo. Deep in the left corner. I think that is Connor Willings over it. Bobby Ross, Adam Lauko, Jeff Thomas, some decent amount of height in the box for FC Buffalo. They'll have to contend with the two tall center backs, though, for the Thunder. Bit of a discussion going on over between Willings and the center referee. All right, we're back underway. Willings will serve. His free kick is not a good one, and it's right to the feet of Chris Riley. Away goes Daniel Kranak. A counter attack almost basically by himself. He plays to Connor McKnight. Knight with a good ball across the middle to Connor Lundulski. Lundulski over to Palucci, who just picked up the yellow card. He's knocked down, and a good win by Jabari Danzy. Palucci fell to the ground pretty easily on that. Good tackle from Danzy, and it's going to be Clavel again. Clavel just graduated from high school. Not sure where he's going to college, but Yitzishin over to Palucci. Palucci back to Yitzishin. Drives the ball. Goes keeps the ball in play. Can go one-on-one with Suter. Has help now from Jeff Thomas. The ball's played back to Riley. As Chris Riley curls the ball across the box. One on a flick by Trevor Hill. And Rude gives that ball away to Brandel. Brandel gives that one right back to Clavel, though. Palucci skips through, now Clavel on the left wing. He'll drive the ball across, but Lauko has no problem dealing with that. Good touch by Yitzishin. There's Mike Rude, gets the ball into the box. Hard first touch by Kranak, and Adam Lauko's there, picks his head up and finds a target on the right side. Good ball out of the back to Adam Lauko to take that extra split second and see where Jabari Danzy was, and FC Buffalo rewarded with a throw-in. Throw-in. McGinnis is there to play back to Rippick. Rippick gets a better foot on this clearance. And Mike Rude, a Hartwick teammate of Chris Walter last year. Walter on the bench today for FC Buffalo. Clavel one-on-one with Bobby Ross in the left wing. Tries to see Palucci's run, but that's intercepted by Brandel. Good effort from Palucci to track back after it, though. And Jeff Thomas finally there. Palucci again. Everywhere. And Palucci takes down Anthony Rosano. Palucci on a yellow, has to be careful. But I think that's just a good hard foul and not one necessarily worthy of a booking.
Friday night for a critical playoff position push against Lansing United. Separated by just 1 point in the standings. We'll kick off at 7 p.m. FC Buffalo and Lansing United.
As Nick Mandola just said, Lansing United, 7 o'clock. FC Buffalo. Lansing, as I said earlier, the Midwest Region champions last year. Ended up going all the way to the Final Four before losing to the eventual champion New York Red Bulls U23s. Mike Rude back to Chris Riley. Riley plays aimlessly forward, headed away by Lauco. Palucci flicks ahead. Suitors there on a volley, down to Trevor Hill. Trevor Hill turns from pressure, back to Rob Brandel. Willings to Brandel. Nice ball for Brandel into the left corner to Brett LaRock. Rock one-on-one with Strep. Cuts inside, has a go at goal. That one's well over again. Well done to create his own shot by LaRock, as neither of the center backs have really had any hope at all of staying with the FC Buffalo striker. Only 3 on the bench today for Greater Binghamton. Jake Landusky, who must be the brother of Connor Landusky, Gene DeLance, and Andy Schell. In the whole scheme of things, this is not a particularly important game for Greater Binghamton either. Other than the pride of the Derby, this is a good chance for them to at least stay sharp, as they haven't had a game in a decent amount of time. McGinnis whistled for a handball. Marcello Palucci really testing his luck. Already on a yellow, needlessly picking the ball up. Nate Rippick barks out commands from inside of his goal. Connor Willings will take this set piece. Here's his service. It's better this time. Headed across the goal by Lauco. There's LaRock, served to the back post by Trevor Hill. Only as far as Anthony Rosano, who tries to flick it around Kranak. There's Ross Suter. Suter plays a good ball wide to Lauco. Lauco serves to the back post, over Brett LaRock and out of bounds. And there's a foul on the box, and it'll be a free kick coming out for Binghamton anyhow. Change away from halftime. Between FC Buffalo and Greater Binghamton. Again, if this score stays as is or ends tied at the end of regulation, we'll either go straight to PKs or into overtime. I believe we're going into overtime, though I'm not exactly sure of the rules of the derby. It's noteworthy that they don't use the away goal aggregation the way they do in Europe. Good challenge from Brett LaRock, forces another errant clearance from Rippick. Rippick having a very hard time with distribution today, just as I am having a hard time talking. Suter throws into Brandel. Brandel shields off a defender. Plays 15 yards back to Bobby Ross. Now to Connor Willings on the right side. Willings sees Jabari Danzy, who might be the shortest target striker ever seen. Now Clavel for Greater Binghamton. Forward to Mike Rude. Rude has some time to turn. He's being chased by Rosano. A good turn inside of him and played wide to Connor McKnight. McKnight one-on-one with Ross Suter on the right wing. Knight surges inside, peels off, plays back to Rude. Rude spins away and sees Chris Miller on the right. Chris Riley, excuse me. Wide now to Clavel. Clavel serves to the back post. Brought down by Kranak, but he can't get a second touch to it, and it's cleared away from danger. McGinnis down to Strep. Strep sees Clavel on the wing. Clavel plays the ball into a danger area, but no one's there for Greater Binghamton. Now Jeff Thomas doing some work down the left wing. Cuts back inside. Thomas is at a sharp half so far. Plays Trevor Hill. Hill over to Connor Willings. Willings to Danzy. Danzy has Rosano with him. Danzy loses his marker. Forces Landulski over. Brandel tries to roll the ball past Strep. can't beat him. Big center back gets a touch on the ball. Dubious whistle. We'll see which way the ref's going to point. He points it in the favor of Greater Binghamton, as it looked like Mike Rude stumbled over the ball and Adam Lauko went with him. Some questions whether or not that was a legitimate free kick call, but Binghamton plays quickly now to Palucci. Palucci has an unmarked Rude, but can only play the ball into the chest of Bobby Ross. Jeff Thomas slices inside. Good ball to Rosano, but picked out by Yatsishin. Trevor Hill for FC Buffalo. Over to Connor Willings. Willings inside of Clavel. Sees Jeff Thomas. Thomas spins away. Lets the ball roll for Brett LaRock on the left side. LaRock one-on-one with Chris Riley. Brandel. Brandel. Good flick. And a great goal for terrific flick from Connor Willings to a sprinting through Brett LaRock. LaRock gets on the board. His second goal in as many games against Greater Binghamton. And it's 1-0 FC Buffalo. Outstanding flick there from Connor Willings. With the awareness of Brett LaRock. His flick hit him right in stride. LaRock had a second just to pick out an open pass. Terrific. 8th minute. Greater Binghamton will try to answer back in the final couple minutes of this first half. Binghamton, like a lot of opponents coming here, has had a hard time getting accustomed to the pretty hard turf and also the crown field here at Robert E. Rich All-High Stadium. Connor Willings, who assisted on FC Buffalo's goal, throws into Cam Hogg. Hogg vols towards midfield, falls to Jeff Thomas now on the right side. Thomas and Danzy have switched sides. Here's Palucci, won by Rob Brandel, but he's whistled for a foul. Taken quickly by Lundusky to Streb. Streb over to Connor McKnight. McKnight, the 211s one-on-one. Danzy pushes him off the ball. It's off McKnight for a throw-in. Streb plays forward, headed forward by Suter. Down with his chest. For Lundusky. Lundusky to the wing to Clavel. Clavel tries to backheel past Connor Williams, but Williams gets a touch to it, and it's out of play. Shielded by Williams and Clavel, and a throw-in again for FC Buffalo. McGinnis up to Rude, turns away from Bobby Ross very well. Another good cut move. He switches fields to Chris Riley. Riley with a good first touch. Slices inside, curls in towards Rude, but it doesn't get that far. Here's Lundusky inside. Plays McKnight through. McKnight a little late on the run, and it goes out of play. .42nd minute at Robert E. Rich All-High Stadium. 1-0 FC Buffalo. The goal coming off the foot of Brett LaRock, assisted by Connor Willings, and a very pretty goal Blitzer scored to get on the board first. In FC Buffalo's 4-2 win over Erie on Friday, you saw 4 different goal scorers for FC Buffalo. Fox Slotemaker, Brian Knapp, Brett LaRock, and Andrew Ferguson. FC Buffalo very balanced this year in the scoring. No player with more than 3 goals, but I think 3 or 4 players do have 3 goals. Slotemaker, LaRock, Andrew Ferguson. McGinnis to Kranak, now to Clavel, back to Boris Yatsishin. Yatsishin to Lendulski. Lendulski has a drive right into the dome of Rob Brandel and out of play. Good hit there from distance by Lendulski, but Rob Brandel's head right in the way. Back to Adam Lauko. Lauko fakes the kick over to Ross Suter. Suter forward to the back. The right. Thomas one-on-one.
Gourmet hot dogs and black market food truck are available outside. We also have some water for sale at the merchandise table, which you should check out for the merchandise.
Brandel brings it down right in the heart of the field. Rosano to Jeff Thomas on the right side. Rosano overlapping slowly. Knifes past Yatsishin. Takes an extra touch, pushed to the ground. Rosano fell pretty easy. And who has a considerable amount of height and weight on Rosano. Sort of lowered his shoulder into him. Didn't seem like he raised his arm very much. Rosano went to the ground. And the center referee, I think smartly, did not call a penalty. Yatsishin switches fields. That's well over Connor McKnight's head. We're in the final minute of the first half. Might have a little bit of stoppage time. FC Buffalo leading 1-0. Nice flick by LaRock. Hits Danzy in stride. Danzy has Jeff Thomas running to the back post. Strep manages to clear that just about to the 25-yard line. But Suter gives it to Danzy. Danzy now plays to the back post towards Jeff Thomas. Ball headed down by Brandel, but out of play for another goal kick.
Fans of FC Buffalo would also like to thank GPS for their group outing here today. Overview Soccer. Thank you for coming. And we're into stoppage time. The referee will keep the time on the field.
Doesn't appear to be the usual stoppage time electronic board, so looks like time will be kept on the field, as Nick Mendola just said. Good first half from FC Buffalo. Probably could have had a few more goals than just the one that they have to show for it. A lot of half chances, a lot of pressure, a ton of service in from the wings. Jeff Thomas has been very good, as well as Anthony Rosano, Brandel, and Will has. That's the whistle for halftime. Thank you for joining us for the first 45 on WNYmedia.net. FC Buffalo holding a 1-0 lead, and if the game were to end as it is, they would be winners of the Upstate New York Derby. Will FC Buffalo be able to hold on to this 1-goal lead? Stay tuned. We'll be back for the second half here on WNYmedia.net in 15 minutes.
Good job, Ben.
Thanks.
Fans, FC Buffalo's first goal scored by number 17, Brett LaRock, and assisted by number 8, Connor Willings. It's LaRock from Willings, Brett's 5th goal of the season. That came in the 39th minute.
Mark. Welcome back for the second half of FC Buffalo against Greater Binghampton FC. The Wolves lead 1-0 at halftime. Entering this second 45 minutes, no changes yet to announce for FC Buffalo. Not positive for Binghamton, but it looks like they're keeping their same 11 as well. I'm Ben Sujimoto, calling here on WNYmedia.net. Thanks to Pallet Services Inc. for sponsoring the video streams this year. Back underway for the second half. Long ball forward towards Connor Landusky. Too far, and Cameron Hogg's there for it for the Blitzers. Hogg drives the ball forward. No one there to challenge it for FC Buffalo, but Trevor Hill's there for the second ball. Plays back to Bobby Ross. Ross clips the ball down the line, out of bounds. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Gwes Abongwase, who was instrumental in FC Buffalo's 4-2 win over the Erie Commodores on Friday. Abongwase had the assist on the first goal, had the secondary assist on the second goal, and playing the crossbar just towards the end of the first half. Offsides here on Greater Binghamton as Connor McKnight got a little bit ahead of himself in getting behind the back line of FC Buffalo. But Abongwase was maybe the most dynamic forward performance we've seen of any true striker in a Blitzer uniform in the team's history, which is saying something considering it was a pretty big impact made in the debut for a guy who had been training with the Rochester Rhinos for the last couple months and still not signed to a contract yet. But you have to think that Bob Lilly, the head coach of the Rhinos, is really making sure that Abongwase, who's went to Pitt Sutherland and is a Rochester native, that Bob Lilly makes sure that Abongwase doesn't get away. And I think training with FC Buffalo and playing with FC Buffalo is a good start because you keep him in the area and other teams are a little less likely to poach him. FC Buffalo possessing, back to Cam Hogg. Hogg, who shared the starter's role at UB last year. It's kind of a weird twist as he plays that ball of field. Looks like he's okay though. Bobby Ross gives away. Palucci's there. A through ball Connor McKnight will run on, with Lauco chasing him. McKnight blocked by Lauco's butt, and Suter's there to clean it up. Over to Jeff Thomas. Hard work on the touchline. Jeff Thomas wins a throw-in. Nope, it's pointed the other way, much to the chagrin of the Situation Room. Landulski falls easy to ground, but he's actually shaken up. Gets to his feet slowly. It'll be a set piece upcoming about 22 yards from goal for the Thunder. 1-0 FC Buffalo in the 48th. Binghamton now with a chance off this set piece to draw level. Three-man wall of Rosano, Suter, and Trevor Hill. Cam Hogg barking out orders. He's definitely not bashful when it comes to organizing his defense. Chris Riley, with the orange shoes, wearing number 10 for Greater Binghamton. He'll serve this one into the box or have a strike. He's frustrated because the wall is clearly not 10 yards away from the ball. He'll hit it regardless. He drives it in low, hit out of play by Adam Lauco. Interesting that the referee let that go with about a 6 or 7 yard wall there. Throw in for Binghampton. Back to Palucci. Palucci pressured by Rosano. Gets it to Sean Strepp. The through ball to Kranak is a little bit too far. Hogs off his line to swallow that up. He punts up to Jabari Danzy. Danzy flicks forward to Brett LaRock. McGinnis will usher that out of play though. And Binghampton will have a throw in. We'll see our first substitution of the game here in the 50th minute. Trevor Hill will exit for FC Buffalo.
Substitution coming into the game, number 28, Chris Walter, for number 4, Trevor Hill.
It's fan favorite Chris Walter entering in the 50th minute, replacing Trevor Hill. Good outing for Hill. Played his role pretty well as a holding midfielder. Didn't do anything flashy on the ball, kept his position. Did well to keep possession for the Blitzers. Now we'll see Chris Walter, who will play right in front of the FC Buffalo back four, clean up a lot of messes there. Foul on Rob Randell for a push. Greater Binghampton will be able to hit a ball long here as they get a few more numbers forward. Ball's clipped towards Chris Riley. Riley back to Stepp. Strepp to Marcello Palucci. Marcello plays Connor McKnight in down the wing. McKnight chased by Ross Suter. McKnight slips inside of him, pokes the ball across over to Palucci. Palucci onto his left foot, has a drive at goal, but that one's 10 or 15 yards over the net. Joshua Bishaw warming up on the sideline for FC Buffalo. He'll be a sophomore at St. Bonaventure in the fall. Won by Landusky. Now a 50-50, Chris Walter wins, but only as far as Connor Landusky. Landusky, Walter steps into him, he's whistled for a foul. Rosano plays the ball down the line, lucky he doesn't get a delay of game warning there. Chris Walter in his 39th match, which is the most, well, today's his 40th match, in the most in team history. He's collected 16 yellow cards in those 40 games. And he still has another 40 minutes to add to that. There's Chris Riley's service to the back post, headed straight up by McGinnis and over the bar, but it's pointed for a corner kick. Rob Randell cannot believe it, but it will be a corner. Brendan Murphy points to the AR, who is also pointing to the corner flag. No overrule coming there. Binghampton is somehow down a sub. They have two guys on the bench after having three in the first half. Here's their swinging and set piece, headed by Sean Streb, but it bounced of Cam Hogg, who is well positioned to save that. Chris Walter, Rosano, Ross Suter can't get to it first though, but the ball's hit back and Cam Hogg is there. Maybe provide some updates here on the AFC Cleveland against Erie Commodores game. Might be one of those weird moments where FC Buffalo fans would be rooting for Erie, as the Commodores are now 3-5 and falling ever so quickly out of the playoff hunt, whereas AFC Cleveland is going to be challenging FC Buffalo for a spot. Back to the action, Jeff Thomas keeps the ball in play, but his service can't turn his hips and play that ball into the front of the goal, and it's out for a goal kick. Erie with a 1-0 lead right now on a penalty kick in the 6th minute by Danny Deacon. It's good news for FC Buffalo fans, even though they'll probably be pretty reluctant to root for Erie. The 1-0 lead by the Commodores. Danny Deacon, that's his 6th goal of the year, and that ties him for most among NPSL Midwest scorers. Rosano tries to play in LaRock. No luck there as Sean Strepp Gets it, and McGinnis just content to drive the ball long down the field, and Kranak traces after it, but Bobby Ross, heads back to Cam Hogg. LaRock brings it down, slices inside, he's going diagonal to his goal, waits for some help from a teammate, has it in Connor Willings on the right side. Willings switches fields to Ross Suter. Ross Suter, who plays for St. Lawrence, which is Brendan Murphy's alma mater, the head coach. Suter also grew up and played around here too, I believe. Might have been Newport, if I'm not mistaken. Some grabbing back and forth between Kranak and Brandel. Kranak does well to control it and play a ball wide. Here's Pierre Clavel one-on-one with Bobby Ross. Clavel will serve in towards Connor McKnight, the shortest player on the field, and that's won by Adam Lauko. A good tackle by Bobby Ross. Sees good position for Jabari Danzy, who lays off to Rosano. Rosano can get forward if he wants. Plays in Chris Walter, a very good weighted ball by Rosano. Walter back to Ross Suter. Rob Brandel calls for it inside. Man is coming on his back. A good early pass to Jabari Danzy. Brandel switches fields to Anthony Rosano. A good look from Brandel. Rosano one-on-one and Chris Riley. Quick step over. Tries to curl the ball in, blocked. Now Suter will have a drive. And that bending ball was secured nicely by Nate Rippick, the Nazareth starting keeper. Thanks for listening to us here and watching the stream on WNYmedia.net. We're in the 56th minute. FC Buffalo protecting a 1-0 lead off a first half goal from Rhett LaRock, off a very pretty flick from Connor Willings, one of the highlight reel assists you'll see this year for FC Buffalo. LaRock, who celebrated his birthday on Friday in that win against Erie, another game that he got on the board. He scored the fourth and insurance goal in that 4-2 win. I believe that was in the 89th minute. Ross Suter back to Lauko, over to Bobby Ross for FC Buffalo. Nice turn away from pressure by Rob Brandel. Brandel, college teammate of Ross Suter's. Plays wide to Jeff Thomas. Thomas one-on-one with Chris Riley. Gets to the end line. A sliding tackle by Riley is enough to win it. And Connor Landusky clears but hits the ball girl. And now we've got a couple balls on the field and there's a little bit of confusion. And it'll be a throw in for Greater Binghampton. Chris Walter corrals it for FC Buffalo. He gives it away though to Kranak. Kranak pokes the ball off Jeff Thomas. Well done there by the retreating attacking center mid Kranak. Chris Riley throw into Mike Rude, but that's given away by Riley. Jabari Danzy sees Rob Randell down the left side. Randell one-on-one, has Jeff Thomas with him. Smartly plays that ball. Thomas serves the ball to the back post. Nobody there for FC Buffalo, and out for a throw-in. Substitution coming in. That's
FC Buffalo substitution. Entering the game, number 18, Brian Knapp. For number 16, Anthony Rosano.
Number 18, Brian Knapp comes in. Make that two 30-year-olds or older on the field right now. Knapp for Buffalo, Chris Riley for Binghampton. Knapp replacing Anthony Rosano, who put in 58 minutes of work. Walter to Suter. Suter back to Rob Brandel. Brandel, nice driven ball to the right side to Connor Willings. Willings played the ball to the back post, back to Brandel. Brandel heads down. There's Jeff Thomas with a sitter, and he hits it over. Jeff Thomas with a glorious opportunity to double the lead. Cannot complete the play after Willings and Brandel had a nice give and go across the field. Brandel headed down to Jeff Thomas. Thomas, the shot was challenged, but he couldn't keep it on frame. Substitution for Binghamton, Andy Schell will enter for Mike Rude. It's number 15 entering the fray for Binghamton, replacing number 12, the Hartwick soon-to-be junior. Good win right off the bat by Schell. Now Pierre Clavel on the left side. Cuts back, sees Palucci. Palucci spins, plays forward. Andy Schell apologizes with that soft ball back, and we'll see two more substitutes coming here in the 60th. Two more, both for FC Buffalo. Joshua Bishaw will make his home debut for the Blitzers, wearing number 2. And Matt Nanu Ferguson, number 14, will both enter the fray. Not sure quite yet who they'll be coming in for. Willings searching ball inside, intercepted by Streb. Palucci up to Schell, whose touch lets him down, and Bobby Ross gets to join the attack now. No one picks him up initially, but he can't elude Bogdan Yatsishin, who promptly gives it back to Brian Knapp, or Bobby Ross, excuse me. Ross to Knapp. Forward to Brett Larock, who's whistled off sides. Might have been a shoulder or two just ahead of the Binghamton back line. Here come the two substitutions in the 61st here. See if the center referee looks over. He gets it. So Jeff Thomas and Jabari Danzy will be the two players leaving the lineup for FC Buffalo. In Joshua Bishaw, number 2.
FC Buffalo, number 14, Matt Ferguson, for number 21, Jeff Thomas. And number 2, Josh Bishaw, for number 11, Jabari Danzy.
Can tell Thomas definitely frustrated with himself after missing that shot right at the top of the 6-yard box. Could have doubled the lead. His day is over. See if Josh Bishaw, who's got plenty of pace, started 9 games last year for St. Bonaventure. See what kind of an impact he can make on the right wing. First touch in his direction. Doesn't get to his feet though. And Chris Riley wide to Lundusky. Lundusky with a nameless ball that goes all the way through to Cam Hogg. The inability for Greater Binghamton to connect their midfield to their forwards has been pretty obvious so far. Hasn't really been any service at all. Their usual striker, Bo Yelovich, is not here. Yelovich is definitely a lethal finisher, whereas now Connor McKnight does not seem quite as comfortable up front as Yelovich does. There's Brett Larock, one-on-one at the top of the box. It's on his right foot, doubles back, still cutting around, plays Connor Willings. Willings square to Chris Walter. Walter, FC Buffalo, successfully switches fields. There's Suter to Brian Knapp. Brian Knapp there drives the ball into Rob Brandell. A pretty ball from Brian Knapp. Sent that ball in on a rope to Rob Brandell's head. Brandell couldn't knot it down, and that one went over the target. Beautifully played, though, by Brian Knapp. A ball from Rippich almost gives it away, but Chris Riley runs it down, and Michael McGinnis has it now. McGinnis over Schell's head. Bobby Ross heads down to Bishaw. Bishaw's first touch is heavy, and Schell comes away with it. Good additional pressure, though, from Bishaw. And now several players are on the ground, and Binghamton can keep it. Pierre Clavel with a neat Maradona away from pressure. Kranek over to Chris Riley. Riley spins away from Matt Nanu Ferguson. Suter with a deflection. There's Chris Walter. Looks behind him, keeps the ball away from Connor McKnight, and plays Suter on the wing. Suter can get forward, plays Matt Nanu Ferguson. Nanu busting inside the defense. Has a drive at goal blocked by Sean Strepp. Couple good blocks today by Strepp. Brandell over to Chris Walter. Ball skips up on him a bit, and then Bobby Ross shanks that ball, and Connor McKnight has a chance. Plays back to Palucci, but Palucci gives it away, and now here's a chance for Binghampton. Ross gets a poke to it, but Shell keeps it. Shell over to Kranak. Kranak to McKnight, who gives it away, and Lauko forward to Matt Ferguson. Ferguson over to Suter. Suter forward to Brian Knapp. A nice ball from Ross. Knapp up to Larock. Larock one-on-one with Streb. Larock can beat him with pace, and he does. To the touchline, drives it across, but McGinnis well positioned. Here's Palucci. Switches fields to Bogdan Yatsichin. Yatsichin can't keep the ball in play. FC Buffalo will have a throw on the right side. 66th minute, 25 minutes here to go. 1-0 FC Buffalo. First half goal from Brett Larock. Assist going to Connor Willings. We can check in again on the out-of-town scoreboard. Having some fat finger struggles here with Twitter. Rob Rendell tracks back well to win that ball. Wow, Erie up 2-0. Eric Campbell from Austin Solomon. That's a surprise result. Here's a breakaway for FC Buffalo. Josh Bishaw has a crack a goal. Great save by Nate Ribick. Ryan Knapp has a look too, but that one's headed over by Chris Riley. Great chance for Bishaw, but Ribick was up to the task again. Josh Bishaw's good looking goal there. The rest of the time he spent on the ground. Seems to have a hard time with his footing right now. There's a giveaway by number 4, Kranak. Larock has a hit it goal, and that one swerves wide of the right post. Goal kick coming up for Ribick. We'll also see a substitution. The brother of Connor Lundusky is Jake Lundusky, wearing number 24. Here's Connor McKnight. Pushed off the ball by Connor Willings and out for a blitzer throw-in. Chris Walter over to Brandell. Brandell short to Walter. Has space on the left side. Sees Matt Nanu Ferguson. Ross Suter will overlap. Ferguson doesn't see any of that. Plays a bending ball to the back post to Larock. Larock manages to stay on side, but the ball bends too far away from his run and out of play. It's the end of the day for Connor McKnight. Put in a lot of work, but his touch let him down a lot, and he was surrounded by a lot of blitzers. Not a very easy role up there for the youngster for Greater Binghampton.
Entering the game for Binghampton, number 24, Jake Lundusky, for number 11, Connor McKnight.
Connor McKnight appears to have signed for Binghampton. He'll be a freshman this year. Binghampton breaking in. Here's a chance pulled away by Clavel and stolen by Bobby Ross. A nervy moment there for the Blitzers, though. Chris Riley over to Lundusky. Lundusky serves in. Bobby Ross is there to head. Matt Nanu Ferguson heads to Brian Knapp, who nods towards Larock. Larock seems to be getting a little bit gassed, though. Here's Brandel. Wide to Brian Knapp. Diagonal run from Larock, but there's Matt Ferguson. Ferguson with Bishaw at the back post. Nips the ball over to Knapp. Knapp tries to go through the legs of Lundusky, but can't. Nice play by Matt Ferguson. Larock cuts back inside. Having a try at goal is Chris Walter, but there's not much pace on there. And Ribic is there to save it. Kendall McFadden gets his jersey on for FC Buffalo. I think we'll see him in a couple minutes. We're in the 71st here, 1-0 FC Buffalo. Thanks for joining us on WNYmedia.net. Matt Ferguson into Larock. Larock has Brandel running with him, but it's given away. Jake Lundusky anticipated that play well. Pierre Clavel inside to Palucci. Square to Chris Riley. Riley forward to Kranak. There's Strep. There's a one-on-one now. Shell in on Cam Hogg, but Hogg is off his line well to just barely beat and Shell to that long dribble. Binghampton starting to generate some chances there. That was a good ball through by Kranak. Brandel in the midfield. Clips the ball wide. Missed entirely by Clavel, but it didn't touch him and rolled out a play for a Binghampton throw. We'll see that FC Buffalo substitution, and it's going to be Kendall McFadden for Brett Larock. End of the day for Larock, the game's lone goal scorer, his 5th of the year. His 2nd against Greater Binghampton, too, accounting for every single goal that FC Buffalo scored against Binghampton this year. But he'll be done for the day, and Kendall McFadden, usually a center back, will move in up top.
Exiting the game for FC Buffalo, number 17, Brett Larock. Coming in, number 23, Kendall McFadden.
Larock's really carved out a pretty solid role for the Blitzers this year. While he may not be the starter when Gwes Abangwasi is here, he's hugely valuable coming in the 65th, 70th minute, providing pace, a lot of pressure on a team's back line, and he's also proven that he can finish the ball when given the opportunity, as you can see by the team leading 5 goals this year. It's a very good find by Brendan Murphy and staff, the Bryant University player. Chris Walter carries up the field, sees McFadden, tries to flick to Brandel, but it's poked away. Suter to Walter, back to Lauco. Adam Lauco wearing the captain's armband today for FC Buffalo. It's been fun to watch the change in Adam Lauco since 2 years ago in 2013 when he was here as a freshman. Just finishing his freshman year for the Wisconsin Badgers. Now he's entering his senior year in the Big Ten, and you've just seen a lot of maturity, mostly physically, but also he was a good defender then, but his additional physicality and ball-winning ability is even more helpful now. Brandel forward to Brian Knapp. Knapp slices inside, sees Brandel with him. Brandel with a touch, runs right into traffic though. Knapp slides to the ground, ball moving around the box. There's Kendall McFadden, has a shot that goes off the upright and out. Brian Knapp was laying on the ground, the ball was bouncing around him and managed to poke it over to McFadden, who Had a look from not the greatest angle, but he tried to put it in the upper right corner of the net and couldn't do it. '74th minute now. Rippick's goal kick. One out of the air by Chris Walter. Ross Suter heads up towards Matt Ferguson, but that's won by McGinnis. Lauco volleys forward again towards McFadden. Offsides called either on McFadden or Matt Ferguson. I'm not sure if McFadden came from an offside position back onside to head that ball or whether or not Ferguson was past that, but regardless, it's going to be a set piece upcoming for Binghampton.
Robert Rich Senior All-High Stadium. Come on down for the 7 p.m. kickoff. Again, FC Buffalo and Lansing United next Friday at 7 p.m.
Score in Erie is still 2-0 in favor of the Commodores. Be a surprise result if that one holds. That game today is the makeup game of when Cleveland was up 2-0 against Erie much earlier in the year, and then the game was called due to lightning in the first half, and they decided to play the game over from the start. You can see that's costing Cleveland right now as the Commodores are falling behind too early. Ball to the back post from Chris Riley. Tried to control along the touchline. Back to Sean Streb. Streb around Brandel, has a drive at goal. Bounces across the goal line. Almost Chris Riley gets a tap in, but it's just beyond his reach. Scary moment there for the FC Buffalo defense as the ball trickled free, and it was a good look by the Binghamton attacker. Here's Chris Riley's service from the right side. Headed down, bounces across the 6-yard box and out of play for an FC Buffalo goal kick. Second half moving by quickly, FC Buffalo protecting a 1-0 lead. That goal coming off the foot of Brett LaRock in the 38th minute, assisted by Connor Willings. Cameron Hogg will take the goal kick for FC Buffalo. One viciously by McGinnis there as he went right over the top of Brian Knapp and hit him pretty solidly. Ball bounces to Matt Ferguson, who heads back to Ross Suter. Ross Suter tries to drive down the line, but that's picked off by Lundolski, who slides in just in front of Matt Ferguson, but FC Buffalo will throw in again. The long throw by Knapp surprises the Binghamton defense, and it's just cleared out of danger by Bogdan Yatsichin. Another long throw in from Knapp from the left side. Doesn't get quite enough mustard on this one, and Sean Streb heads that one away, but the ball ends up in Knapp's feet again on the left side. Pretty move, but his service is left wanting. And McGinnis clears that one. Now Matt Ferguson, the younger of the two Ferguson brothers, gets in front of Lundolski. Has Suter on the left side, cuts back inside, still has it at his feet. Now plays Suter on the left. Suter tries to serve, blocked by McGinnis. The bottom of McGinnis' foot on that cross and went right to Rippick. Bobby Ross steps in front of the punt well, heads to Brian Knapp. Knapp shakes Pierre Clavel, continues his run through. Lundolski spins from pressure up towards number 10, Chris Riley. Chris Walter whistled for the foul. Walter's nudge may have thrown him off stride a little bit. Deemed a soft foul, though, by the FC Buffalo crowd. Again, these two teams tied 1-1 in the first meeting, which means today's match is a winner-take-all. If we're tied at the end of regulation, we will go to overtime and then penalty kicks. But right now, with 11 minutes remaining, FC Buffalo is up a goal on Greater Binghampton. McGinnis over to Landusky. Landusky forward, connects with Chris Riley. Riley goes to ground softly again, grabs his head, wonders why he doesn't have a call. Now there's total confusion. Kendall McFadden now in on goal. No one has any idea what's happening. The center referee is not sure. No one is really sure what's happening. The ball out of play. You saw the assistant referee waving his flag in favor of Greater Binghampton, but FC Buffalo took the throw and they sent Kendall McFadden in on a breakaway, but then the offside flag was up on McFadden. Shaky bit of refereeing there, though. Cam Hogg plays up towards Josh Bishaw. Bishaw with Landusky. Jake Landusky on his back. Cuts inside. He's brought down. That one might be deserving of a yellow.
Fans, it's time for West New York Immediate Care and Batavia Downs Gaming out-of-town scoreboard. The 40th minute, Erie Commodores lead AFC Cleveland 2-0.
Ross Suter drives in towards McFadden. That's over his head, and Rippick is there to catch. Rolled out to Palucci. Palucci surges forward. Sees Chris Riley's run down the side. Riley can't keep it in play, and he was covered nicely by Adam Lauko anyhow. Matt Ferguson dribbles out of bounds, too close to the touchline. Throw in for Landusky. One for FC Buffalo from Palucci. Kranak over to Sean Streb, who's getting higher up the pitch now. Streb wide to Pierre Clavel. All the way to Jake Landusky. His service is toward Clavel, but that's not a problem for Cam Hogg. Hogg up towards McFadden. McFadden's pushed in the back by number 5, Bogdan Getsichin. Ribick's clearance is errant again, and we'll see a free kick upcoming for Greater Binghampton. A couple more quality scoring chances for Binghampton in this half as opposed to the first half. We saw a shot from, I believe it was Andy Schell earlier, go just wide, and Chris Riley was not far away from having a free tap in at the back post. Here's Riley now, has a chance to run at the FC Buffalo defense. Cuts inside of Lauko, fakes the kick with his left. Now he's stuck in the corner with Bobby Ross right on his back. He goes easily to ground, smartly no whistle from the head official, and Riley's still down on the left side of the field. And Cam Hogg picks the ball up for Buffalo. Not an especially exciting second half, but FC Buffalo doing a decent job of killing this game off.
Fans, a reminder, after the game, you can meet us at our official supporters pub.
Chris Walters steps in front of a throw, gets past number 26, Michael McGinnis. The referee's going to go to the book for that one. Yellow card coming to Michael McGinnis. Great anticipation there by Chris Walter to step in front of that throw and start the one-man counterattack, then push the ball past McGinnis, so all McGinnis could do was follow him. And that'll create this dangerous set piece here for FC Buffalo in the 85th minute. McFadden will take. He doesn't hit that one well either. That one bounces right into the wall. McFadden flicks through towards, here's Brian Knapp. Brian Knapp has a shot at goal. It's off the post. Brilliant hit by Brian Knapp. You saw it looking like it was going right to the side netting, but sailed a little bit and hit the post. A great drive from Brian Knapp. There's a foul from Chris Walter, and he's going to go into the book. That'll be his 17th yellow card as a blitzer. Up. He just got a warning. Does not appear to be a card on Walter. Brandel does nicely. Only as far as Streb though. Foots Walter, but that's blocked by Bobby Ross. Very good stuff from Bobby Ross on that defensive play. Landusky now. Pokes forward to no one in particular. Brandel's there, and he plays back to Adam Lauko. Lauko plays the ball over Jake Landusky. Josh Bishaw has pace on Landusky there. A nice poke away by Landusky. Out of play for a throw-in for FC Buffalo deep in the right corner.
Corner kick, FC Buffalo.
Connor Willings to serve it in. McFadden gets a touch to it. Bishaw heads forward. Knocked out by Yatsichin. Chris Walter jumps in, gets a fortunate bounce. Is able to keep it for the Blitzers. Matt Ferguson serves to Connor Willings at the right side. Willings in towards McFadden. A nice bump there by Michael McGinnis. Threw off Kendall McFadden's try to leap for that ball. Lauko heads up. Nice touch from Sean Streb. Streb over to Palucci. Palucci back to Michael McGinnis. McGinnis forward to Chris Riley. Riley loses it to Brian Knapp. Brian Knapp tries to heel it from pressure, but he's right back after it. Plays the ball forward to Kendall McFadden. Good look from Brian Knapp. McFadden now 1-on-2. Has a break towards goal. Tries to beat Michael McGinnis, but McGinnis gets a toe on it and wins it for Binghampton. Aaron touch from Suter, taken quickly by Clavel. Palucci now forward to Kranak, won by Adam Lauko, the captain. Brandel weaving away from pressure now, has a gap in the midfield. It's like Binghamton's starting to tire a little bit. Tackle from Brian Knapp. He's frustrated by that errant pass from Brandel. Clavel over to Streb, entering the 88th minute now. Lauko over to Brandel. Square to Chris Walter. Walter plays to the left side to Matt Nanu Ferguson. Suter up to Ferguson. Ferguson has some time to carry. He gives it away to Streb. And there's Clavel. Over to Chris Riley. Now a through ball has Andy Schell in. Andy Schell with a drive towards goal, caught easily by Cam Hogg. Another scary moment there where FC Buffalo can't connect on their half of midfield, and it leads to an attack in the other direction. It's Kendall McFadden, a nice change side to Rob Randell, but he'll keep that in play on the right side. Brandel back to Chris Walter. Walter swings over to Ross Suter. Suter, who's acquitted himself pretty well today in the starting lineup for the Blitzers. Brandel to Walter. On the left side to Suter now. Ross Suter with Sean Streb on him. Plays McFadden inside, back to Brandel. Brandel's got Willings on his right, but plays Walter on his left. It's Ross Suter. Sees Brian Knapp posting up. Knapp's double teamed and dispossessed. Bobby Ross heads back in. Clavel up towards Chris Riley. Riley heads straight up in the air, and Bobby Ross heads that one forward. Well done by Josh Bishaw. Bishaw gives it away, was expecting Brian Knapp to check to that ball and run a 1-2 with him. Knapp didn't get there, but Knapp wins the ball back. Tries to play a square ball for McFadden, read nicely by McGinnis. And Sean Strebs there, nifty Maradona. Plays back to Jake Lendalski. Lendalski to Palucci. Up to Kranak. His touch goes straight up and Bobby Ross is there. Now McFadden has a chance to counter. McFadden runs through one-on-one with McGinnis. McFadden to the touchline, a great save by Nate Ribick. Ribick off his line again, blocks that one with his body. Good turn from Palucci. Willing shoves Andy Schell. Service up the right side. Ball's over Suter's head, but he's the first to react to it before Clavel can.
We're into stoppage time. Just awaiting the minutes.
Connor Lendalski gives it away
2 minutes of stoppage time
to Matt Nanu Ferguson. We're in stoppage time here. Josh Bishaw running a 1-2 with Brian Knapp. Bishaw turns on the afterburners, has Brandell with him. Cuts it back across the face of goal and it goes just wide. Great run on the right side by Josh Bishaw. Played the ball in front of the net. Almost rolled into the corner. Goal kick upfield, won by Chris Walter. No one's there for FC Buffalo though. Michael McGinnis. Short ball to Palucci. Palucci over to Connor Lendalski. Lendalski inside. Yatsishin over to Kranek. Kranek turns around Bobby Ross. Another great tackle from Bobby Ross. McFadden doesn't play the ball as he's offsides. So a set piece forward up towards Clavel, won by Ross Suter. Marcello Palucci. Back to Lendalski, over to Yatsichin. Yatsichin needs to hurry forward here. Scoots past Brian Knapp, has a drive towards goal, and that sails wide of the target. One of Binghamton's better chances there comes in the first minute of stoppage time. Cam Hogg looked a little confused, but that one went wide of the post. I think we're right up against the second minute of stoppage time. Only 2 minutes were given. So I wonder if the ref will call this one here after this goal kick. By Sean Strepp. Adam Lauko gets a nice elbow into Clavel. Ball back towards midfield. Josh Bishaw brings it down, plays back to Bobby Ross, and that's it. FC Buffalo is the Upstate New York Derby champions.
The Upstate New York Derby goes to FC Buffalo by a score of 2-1 on aggregate and 1-0 tonight. Thank you for coming out. We'll see you on Friday for a pivotal game against Lansing United at 7 p.m. right here.
Thank you for joining us. This has been Ben Sujimoto. FC Buffalo wins 1-0 over the Greater Binghamton Thunder to collect the Upstate New York Derby. We'll see you on Friday when FC Buffalo takes on Lansing United here at Robert E. Rich All-High Stadium at 7 p.m. Again, that's Friday, FC Buffalo against Lansing, 7 p.m. here at Robert E. Rich All-High Stadium. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you Friday.
Fans, tonight's Rich Products Man of the Match goes to midfielder number 6, Rob